right. Good brunch, or you want to call it mid afternoon, early morning, which way you want to call it. This is your man all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. And here I have a very special guest, a lovely lady. She is IFBB Pro. She is recently just won one of the biggest shows in the IFB, and especially with wing and strength, which is Chicago Pro, which earned her the right to compete at the 2021 Olympia for the title for Miss Olympia. So, ladies and gentlemen, anybody else, children, boys and girls, let me introduce Miss Sheena Ohlig. Good morning, Miss
Thanks
Ohlig.
so much for having me on. Can you hear me okay with these
Yeah, I'm fine. I can
AirPods
hear you.
in?
I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you. I can
great.
hear you. Yeah, and we appreciate you coming through. Because it's a great to get to be, like I said, like I've been talking to quite a few ladies, and it's a pleasure to get someone like you who's an up and comer who has a shot at the title. And just want to ask, a lot, what's going on. A big question is, how'd you get into the sport of bodybuilding?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. Really grateful, for the coverage and for those people out there like yourself who are, just being a little bit more fervent with covering the sport of women's bodybuilding. It's much appreciated. So I'm glad to be here. Gosh, I got started in bodybuilding going on 10, 11 years ago now. And it really all sort of happened off of a dare. One of my personal training clients, she was connected. She had ran her own business, and she was connected to actually Gaspari Nutrition. She used to actually dress or style Rich Gaspari's wife, and at the time they were looking for new models, and she sort of put a good word in for me. And when I went for like the call or the go see, they were only looking for competitors. Of course, it's a nutrition company, so they want girls who are in the sport of bodybuilding or competing. And I had never done a bodybuilding show. Um, Sort of embarrassingly enough, I wasn't really even aware of bodybuilding really at the time, aside from like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the old school like stories of bodybuilding. But I wasn't really in the industry that way, or in the know at the time. And sort of as a dare, my friend or my personal training client at the time said, well, if they want somebody who's done a competition, then just go do a competition, and maybe that can start your trajectory into like fitness modeling and such. And so I sort of did it. I found a show. It was actually a NABA show. It was about 5 weeks away from that particular conversation. I ordered like a crushed blue velvet bikini offline, had no idea what I was doing, and did my first show. Came in last. It was like only like 5 women at the time, or 6 women at the time. I think I came in like fifth out of like 6 or 7 girls. And I sort of got bit by the bug. I no longer was really interested in modeling or fitness modeling or anything like that. I was like, oh, I like this. I'm a lifelong athlete. I liked the competition aspect of it. And really, the rest is history. Once I got bit by that bug, it was, full steam ahead. And I sort of really dove into what it meant to contest prep and, get the proper nutrition and, prepare for a bodybuilding show. And I actually went pro the very next year. So I did maybe 2 or 3 amateur shows, started out in figure, and after some really good finishes, the feedback that I got from the judges in all of my competitions and figure was that I was just too muscular. I was a little more athletic looking, a little more athletic of a shape than they were looking for that division, and that I would fit really well into the physique category that had just came out. They had just sort of started competing or judging women's physique, and I think like 2011 was the first year that it was released. And yeah, I did my first women's physique show up in New York. Steve Weinberger, the head judge, gave me really great feedback. I won the overall there, and he said, "This is the package that we're looking for women's physique. You bring this to a national stage, and you're going to go pro this year." And so I listened to him. I did Junior USA's a few months later. I think that was in like May of 2012, and I earned my pro card.
That's pretty good. That's it's a lesson learned. Especially starting a sport, and it's like I said, it just is a sport.
Hmm.
Some people see it as more of a bit of a pageant thing, compared to
Sure.
more of the mainstream sports. But being competitive, you said you had an athletic background. What was your background before you started the bodybuilding?
I was a Division I scholarship athlete in track, and I went to the University of Memphis, and all throughout high school, track, basketball, volleyball. I even had a little stint in cheerleading for about a week. Definitely wasn't my thing. And yeah, I mean, just from the time I was little, I was always running and jumping and climbing trees and like running with the boys and getting into anything that I could. You know, racing anybody, sort of challenging anybody. I mean, I will race you in tying your shoelaces if you let me. So it's sort of just like in my DNA to be competitive. And yeah, after college, it doesn't go away. When that's sort of in your blood, it just doesn't go away. And I was just really, grateful that I found bodybuilding because it allowed me to still sort of, work those gears.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great story. And like that first experience when you got on a stage, what was that feeling you got when you hit the stage? You had to do, in front of a crowd, being judged.
Sure.
What was that feeling?
Aside from being sick to your stomach, I mean, I think everybody can say, can attest their first experience, you got butterflies in your stomach and you're nervous. You don't know, what you're doing. You don't know if it looks good or not. I had that same experience, but I think, and I don't know if this is everybody, but for me, there comes a point where, yeah, I had those butterflies in my stomach and I'm nervous. But once it's time to step on that stage or do what you're supposed to do, I turn into a completely different person. I like flip the switch. I turn on that laser focused sort of gear, and I'm just a different persona on stage. So yeah, I was nervous like walking onto the stage, but once it was time to go, I sort of just like dug my heels and did what I had to do, was focused and didn't let the crowd or, the audience or the judges get to me. I just sort of blocked all of that out and did what I had to do.
Yeah. So anyway, people who are here watching this morning and this mid afternoon, Miss Sheena Ohlig, she's giving y'all some story of herself. Also, her information is in the description in the of the video. Also, she has also some paid crowdfunder link. So if you want to send a donation, being a bodybuilder is expensive.
It is expensive.
And
Thanks so much.
it's expensive because as y'all been talking to quite these ladies, and one thing people don't realize that, but one thing with the men, they just gotta wear a banana hammock and that's about it. And tanning, and that's about it. You ladies, you ladies have to have work. You have to have your makeup, your hair, jewelry, your posing suits. I mean, like I'm hearing from like some women saying, oh, it's like sometimes it's from maybe like $800 for a posing suit to maybe about $2,000 for a posing suit.
Oh, easily.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. And that's the hard fact of this sport, where also we talk about how the pay disbursement is totally different between the men and the women. As you know, the shows are mostly, bodybuilding has been always for a long time a men's sport.
Sure.
And back to the days of Joe Weider, Arnold Schwarzenegger, guys like Leigh Haney. And then as the women bodybuilding start getting into it, it started off more like close to a little bit like I would say figure, maybe a little bit like bikini in about the late 70s, early 80s, and then it started to evolve when you had Richard McLeish to Corey Everson to Linda Murray to Iris Kyle and to Andrea Shaw, and and it's you being in this sport, what is your feeling how things have as a competitor, how you feel that you should at least get a little, not saying you should get as much as the men do because everybody knows the guys gonna get more of the sponsors, but you should get a little bit more for the work you put in.
Oh, 100%. I'm totally of that school of thought. To be honest, number one, I think you have to address the issue that most people, or the argument that most people will bring up first and foremost about the sport of bodybuilding when it comes to the two genders, which, the males versus the females in a sense of marketing. And they'll say, well, the men are more easily marketable. The men will bring in more sponsors. The men bring in more money. But the men's side bring in more money because, number one, they've had way more time in the sport in a sense of the history has always been male dominated. It's always been male focused and male centered. And a lot of people running the league are men, so you will bring in money for what you market, so, women's bodybuilding, women's divisions can be just as marketable as men if you market it. And I think if you put enough of a focus in marketing women's bodybuilding, women's physique, bikini, figure, all of that, then they can bring in just as much money. There are so many young women coming up today that want to know the right supplements, that want to know the right proteins, want to know the right, fat burners or BCAAs or creatines, like what works for them to help them burn fat, build, muscle, change their physique. And I think that you can market to them the same way that you market to the men. But the reason that the men will bring in more money or bring in more sponsors is because that's where all of the money has been sort of focused on for so long. So I think it's just we have to sort of normalize a different way of thinking, a different way of marketing the sport. And for women competing, especially now currently and as a current competitor, I think people have to understand that, to be honest, it's way harder and way more difficult for females to compete than it is for men, in a sense of the money that we have to spend, but also the amount of energy and time and effort that it takes for a female bodybuilder to get as lean and get as muscular. I mean, we're working against the system here. Our bodies, I think every human body sort of wants to be muscular and can be muscular, but we're working against, the system of our natural hormones and, how it wants to hold on to body fat. Because for women, our nature's purpose is to, mother children. So, it wants to have the breast, the fatty breast tissue and the fatty hip and glute tissue. So, we carry all of our weight in our lower body. So it's way harder for women to get lean, for women to build muscle. And I think the amount of time and effort and dedication that we put into it definitely, owes or, requires a lot more respect and, monetary compensation versus the men. You have guys out there that can get into the sport. And yes, it takes them a lot of time to put on, significant muscle and to build a shape. But, you take any young guy and, he could get down to 7% body fat, 5% body fat just by cutting out beers and bagels, So that's sort of my take on it. I think that there's a real conversation that has to be had for compensating the women's side as much, as the men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Because like I say, to the point that women's purpose was to originally, as history goes, and nature is to bear children, to bear young, and men, our life is to breed, battle, and to build, and that's about it. We're like Conan, you crush your enemies, see them drinking for you,
Right. Sure.
and hear the lamentation of the women. That is Conan, that is Crumb.
Right. And
Yeah.
we're so much further evolved than that now. So we don't necessarily have to fall into those, those roles anymore, and those, antiquated sort of roles anymore. And we can decide how we want to carry our bodies and what we want to do with our bodies and what we want to do with our physical shape. So I think that it's important that we have that conversation.
Yeah, because like I said, one thing if you follow my channel, if anybody follow my channel, I talk also about MMA, and that's about the same. WMA takes the same disrespect. They don't get as much credit. That's why my channel, I focus a lot more on the women, because there you can find 2011 channels focus on men bodybuilding, on boxing, on other sports, but the women take a back seat. And a lot of you ladies, you work just as hard. You put in a lot of work, and you risk more, because it said again, women, they have a higher BMI than men. Yeah, and I think remember the guidelines for women said you can never go under, I think, 10 or 12%, because that's like a danger zone, they often said.
Right.
And
once you fall below 10 or 12%, you tend to lose your menstrual cycle. And what they would have you believe, is that, women are supposed to have their menstrual cycle every month, and that's what it's supposed to be. And it's very dangerous for you to lose your menstrual cycle. But women who are, practicing birth control, a lot of times will miss their menstrual cycle or skip their menstrual cycle. There are actual birth controls out there, birth control protocols out there that will allow you to, and actually are created for you to skip your cycle for like 3 months at a time. So like every 3 months you'll have your cycle. So yes, to a degree, once you fall below 10 or 12% body fat, you lose your menstrual cycle. But there are other factors in there that you can use to help keep yourself safe and keep yourself healthy.
Yeah. Anyway, like here we go. We're here to talk with Miss Sheena Ohlig, Miss Olympia Contender. Here I got a couple of my followers and my brothers here. Brooke Burrell says, "Yo, George Page, you have the best show." And also, KL Ain't No Angel, congratulations. And he want to ask you something. I would like for you to flex for us a little, please. And this is the thing, you got the smos. They get excited when your muscle ladies come on.
Sure.
I wouldn't ask you to do it if you don't want to. But it's up
I'll
to
throw
you.
up a little bicep. flex. You know what I mean? But
That's good enough for you, schmoes. Okay,
there you go.
do a little bicep flex.
Who doesn't
Okay, so
like to do a little flex Tuesday?
yeah, I know you schmoes. Put away your tissues and your jergens. It's over. Okay, that's it. But the thing is about as your sport is that is we like Sunday I had a little discussion with some your fellow IVP competitors that we talk about as we had the incident happen about a little bit over a week ago where Alina Havani and rest in
Mm-hmm.
peace to her, and it's just always what it is with your sport. It always get that finger pointing at you because you're on drugs, you're using this, you're using that. While other sports, like boxing, baseball, as you know, not long ago we had that congressional hearing for
Sure.
steroids in baseball, but your sport gets this it's the stink eye from other
Mm-hmm.
sports because of
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on and the use of diuretics and steroids and other practices. And that
Sure.
what's your thought? What's your thought on that?
I think, just like you mentioned, I think PEDs sort of will appear in every sport or in several different sports and in different leagues and different divisions. And I think that people have to recognize that, while certain protocols can be dangerous, also to a degree, as grown adults, there are certain freedoms that we have to be able to do what we want with our bodies. And, I think that there are ways that you can go about, practicing safer protocols, healthier protocols, doing things that will keep your body safe and healthy. But I think that to point the finger in any one sport or any one division or at any one, gender class, to be more concerned or more outraged that women bodybuilders are dying versus, men bodybuilders who, for ages, you have highly, highly, highly recognizable names, highly popular names, up and coming stars, rising stars that have met the same fate, unfortunate fate. And, there wasn't this sort of outcry as to, oh my God, these things are so dangerous. They're killing themselves. It's ridiculous. People need to be held accountable. And I think that I think that's unfair to a degree, but I also think that it's important to start bringing to light and shining a light on some of the disparities, but also some of the abuses that happen by coaches, by athletes, all across the board. And I think the more you talk about it, the more open things can be and the more healthy things can be because people, will then begin to remove the taboo from it. We can sort of dispel a lot of the myths that come with, different protocols, etc. So I think, people have to be smart, people have to be healthy, people have to do their research. You can't just listen to this, bro science. You can't just listen to that guy in the corner of the gym trying to tell you, what to take or what not to take. And I think, you have to practice some sort of common sense, but also educate yourself, not just jump into a protocol because, you think it's going to give you muscles. To be honest, no matter what protocol you're on, if you're not putting in the work, you're not doing the diet, you're not conditioning properly, you're not staying consistent, you're not doing the work that will allow you to utilize whatever protocol in a way that best helps your body improve, it's not going to do anything for you.
Hmm. Anyway, I got another question. It's a question from Brooke Burrell. Miss Shirley, my name is Brooke Burrell. Would you be willing to train and inspire male bodybuilder in a wheelchair? And Brooke also said that you are very beautiful, Miss Sheena.
Thank you so much.
And I told her this because like I did a couple of videos with her, and I told her, and I'm gonna quote my favorite character, the Joker, and you are beautiful.
I
Yeah, that's good.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but also the book's also saying that Miss Sheena, would you be willing to train an aspiring bodybuilder in a wheelchair? And if how he's asking the cost, how much it would cost, or I know
Sure,
you're
sure,
a
sure.
trainer, and
Sure.
is it difficult sometimes when you have clients that come in and they say, I want to be like look at the poster and say, I want to be like Hugh Jackman in X-Men when he was played Wolverine, or I want to be like you see like or what's the best one to say, or like Linda Hamilton when she was in Terminator 2, you know.
Right, right. Well, I am accepting training clients. So if anybody's interested in training with me, you can actually email me at trainwithsheena@gmail.com. So I take all of my inquiries via email. And then, I strike up a conversation and we can discuss the particulars there. As a current competitor, as well as someone who trains and coaches, it can definitely be a balancing act. You know, it requires a lot of intentional time balancing both, you know, mentally, emotionally, and physically, doing my trainings, keeping my mind, you know, focused on my show and doing what I need to do, getting my posing in, but at the same time giving the time and attention to my clients that they deserve for competing and prepping. And you know, I have some clients that don't necessarily compete. I have, you know, just some general weight management clients. I have some general just, you know, strength transformation clients. So it's all about what that person's goal is, and not everybody is necessarily interested in competing. And it does just it takes that one-on-one individualized sort of attention, but it can be challenging at sometimes. But also, I think because I've been doing it for so long, I've learned how to compartmentalize and schedule things in a way that are less likely to conflict.
Hmm. And Brooke is responding, said it would be considered an honor and a privilege to be trained by the next Miss Olympia. Wow,
That's the
he got you,
goal.
Miss.
That's the
Yeah.
goal.
'Cause I remember you were doing at the Chicago. You were doing an interview with Andrea Shaw, and I
Hmm.
sent you a thing saying never tell the Queen what you're planning to do, especially when you're
Sure,
coming after her crown. Be,
sure, sure. I remember
be,
that.
you know, walk softly. You know, carry a big stick if you're going to do that. And
Right.
also, you gotta, because like I said, she's the one, she's the top one. I mean, I like Andrea. She's a great competitor. I think she's a new face for the sport. Like you, I think you also new face of the sport, and you feel like being part of. You also are ambassador for Wings of Strength,
Hmm.
and that's a great thing because we like to say thank you to Jake Wood because
That's
him
right.
and he saved female bodybuilding when we know back in 2014 after the last Miss Olympia as
Yeah, they were
more
trying
like
to stomp us out, man. What was up with that? Trying to
yeah.
stomp us out.
Yeah, like I said, I tell people this. One of my favorite movie trilogies is the Chris Nolan Dark Knight movie part, and there's a
Hmm.
part in the movie. If you remember the movie where Ra's al Ghul, played by Liam Neeson, tells Kristen Bell, played by Bruce Wayne, to get rid of the enemy, you walk behind them and stab them in the heart, and that's how they
Hmm.
did it with your bodybuilder. Walk
Sure.
quietly behind you and stab you in the heart. But it's good that it's coming back, and we like to thank Jake, and like I'm gonna quote like Jake, he got that money, he got that gun. So yeah, thank you, Jake. You know,
Oh my
yeah,
God, I never thought I'd meet somebody who quotes as many movie quotes
I
as I do. Like I love,
I
you
love
know, throwing
movies.
out
Like
quotes, you know, that
yeah,
fit into life from movies.
yeah.
That's awesome.
See,
It's so fun.
people keep forgetting like art imitates life, and
Sure.
and most movies you see are basically from what you see in real life. They might change a little bit to fit into the span of what it is. But like I said, I grew up as a kid. I used to love watching movies and TV shows. When I got into bodybuilding, I became a fan of it because my older brother, he played football. His nickname was He-Man. He was the strongest
Mm-hmm.
guy on his team. He got to Division II college, and he
Mm-hmm.
used to collect the muscle mags. And I like guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lee Haney, those guys. I was a fan of them. Then I saw y'all women,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to remember at the time I was a pre-visit teen, and something about y'all women just blew my mind.
Sure.
And I became a fan. I'm Smo, but now I have evolved from that. I've still got my Smoism. I'm gonna admit that, but I
Mm-hmm.
evolved to become more. This is kind of a mission for me. And it's recently we were talking one time on IG a little bit. We would do a little conversation that your mother had some surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
how she's doing.
She's doing a lot better today, thankfully. You know, by the grace of God, she's doing so much better. She actually had a liver transplant, and you know, it was rocky there for a while. You know, just not even 6 months ago. You know, it was to a point where, you know, it got to the point where you're staring death in the face, you know, and things are scary. And we all as a family had to pull together and, you know, sort of just hold her up and stand in the gap for her and, you know, fill in where we could. So while at the same time I was prepping for the show, you know, I'm also helping run the family nonprofit that she established,
Hmm.
and then also helping take care of her, you know, making sure food is there or available for her, making sure that she can get around the house, making sure that, you know, any errands that she has to run, making sure her doctor appointments are all scheduled and that she's getting to her doctor appointments. So that definitely took a toll, but at the same time, it helped encourage me and motivate me and keep that fire burning inside of me, because I wanted to do that for her. You know, while all of my years of competition have been driven by sort of an intrinsic drive and motivation of my own, it sort of evolved into recognizing that there are things in life that are way harder than this sport. They are way harder than, you know, having to eat chicken and rice, you know, every 3 hours, or not have that donut. And, you know, I was witnessing it firsthand. I was looking at my mom struggle and fight for her life. And, you know, I just decided, you know, if she can do this, then I can do what I need to do to carry on and do this show. And, you know, I can't say how great of an impact she made on me, just because of the motivation and the fire she gave to me to push through.
Because that's one thing we have in common. For 5 years, I took care of my mother. She had had a series of seizures. She had a
I'm
stroke.
so sorry.
My mother passed away last year. She caught the
That's so
COVID.
difficult.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
she was, like I said, like an old cowboy. She was my woman. I took care of her. We
Yeah,
lived together.
yeah,
She was my riding buddy. You know, I supported her, helped her out. I learned a lot while taking care of her. And
right,
now I have to take care of myself. And now this is what, because this is how I started into this, was just to get on YouTube, because, you know, dealing with her situation, just to do something to, you know, get my mind off of it quite often.
right.
And then I just grew, and I met a gentleman by name of, my name is Coach Shetton Harrison.
Hmm.
He has his own channel, which is CS Combat Sports. He dedicates to with WMMA, and he said, George, you need to do something. You know, I know you're a big fan of bodybuilding. You try to do something like do like bodybuilding. So he told me to go by the moniker, the King of Female Bodybuilding Cock. But I said, you know what? Everybody goes with King, so I'm going with Emperor. And people
Yeah,
don't
I
know
like that.
yeah, because the history of remember Napoleon, we took over France when after they
Hmm.
killed the King Louis. You know, they could have called him King, but he said nobody said no. I want to be Emperor because it's more
Hmm.
prestigious.
Sure.
Yeah.
It
So
fits. It fits.
yeah, I call myself the Emperor. Sometimes you know,
Hmm.
it's just, you know, it's more regal.
Hmm. Sure.
Anyway, this is just it's a question people I talk about, and I no, I don't like to bring it up, but I know one thing about women bodybuilders. There's a lot of prejudice against you. There's people always saying that, oh, you try to be a man. I always talk
Hmm.
to the ladies, and what's the dealing with your personal dealings with it, you know, 'cause especially and mostly a good part of it's on you know, social media, you know, and I always try to bring in a good side to it. Like, you ladies are beautiful. I'll post something on Facebook, and sometimes people say, "No, that's not beautiful. That's not like it." But you women are beautiful. You are still women. You are athletes. You are women. Your
Hmm.
mothers. Your
Hmm.
wives.
Hmm.
You know, your daughters. Your sisters. You're still, you know, even though you're in a sport that's considered very masculine, you're still women. And some people need to remind that.
Hmm. No, absolutely. I actually did a interview earlier this year. Was it this year? Yeah, it was earlier this year. Right before I was right in the middle of my prep, and it was actually Four Wings of Strength. And it was Hans, and he did sort of a feature on myself and Julia Fiore, who is also a women's physique competitor who switched over to women's bodybuilding. She actually finished really well at the Tampa Pro, which was her pro debut. And we both sort of did this interview with him, and there was actually a third girl. Actually, wow, her name was.
I think I remember that was with AJ over at Female Bodybuilding Channel. I watched that video interview. I'm trying to remember the name of the girl. I forgot. You know, we
I think
probably
it was
remember it later.
Wind, something like that. It was another young woman. And
Hmm.
one thing that I said, because this also sort of came up, is, you know, I think that there's something to be said about creating a new normalization around understanding what masculinity versus femininity is. There's not one body shape or one feature of a body that makes it masculine or makes it feminine. And, you know, to say that muscles are masculine, then, you know, that sort of assumes that anybody that has muscles is masculine and that anybody that doesn't have muscles is feminine. So if you look at a man who is very not muscular, maybe he's a very, you know, softer gentleman, not in shape gentleman, or, you know, maybe he never worked out a day in his life. So then
Well, I
would you
used
call
to.
him feminine? You know, so
No.
I think that that's not fair. So my exact line was that, you know, muscles and muscularity and fitness is not, you know, reserved strictly for men. You know, it's okay for women to have muscles. It's okay for women to be strong. It's okay for women to even be masculine in a sense, because I think that in life, I also used to be a yoga instructor too. So I believe in balance. I believe in the yin and the yang. And I think that both men and women, they have to have a level of masculinity and a level of femininity. And I think that it has to balance, you know, and everybody has a different level of balance. So I definitely have experienced where, you know, people are very closed-minded or have a very old-fashioned or antiquated way of thinking of femininity or muscularity, and you know, they will assume, oh, you know, you're trying to look like a man, or you're trying to look um masculine, or you're trying, or you like, or assume that you're gay, or assume that you have a certain, you know, sexual orientation or preference because of the way that your body looks. And I think that that's just not fair, and I think that it's old, and I think it's played out, and I think that people just need to become a little bit more creative, and I think people need to become a little more cultured as well. You definitely have the trolls that jump into your box and will come into your pictures or comment on your pictures and say, oh, that's so disgusting, or oh, that's so gross. But they're
Mhm.
also keyboard warriors. They're people that have, you know, no pictures on their profiles. They're people that, you know, are strictly looking for attention. They want you to comment back on, you know, their disgusting, you know, comments on your pictures or on your pages. And I just don't even entertain it, to be honest. I couldn't care less. I don't entertain it. I don't let it get under my skin. A lot of times I laugh it off because I can assume what this person looks like, you know. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, like I said, and also like I said, is I'm a fan of women muscle, especially my
Hmm.
sisters of Melody. I think there's some very beautiful women who are of color
Hmm.
who are in the sport, especially yourself, the likes of Linda Murray, uh,
Hmm.
Heather Foster. One lady who I did an interview with, Miss Jada Beverly.
Hmm.
Just a long list of beautiful women in
She
this
looked
sport.
amazing at Tampa Pro too. I actually was
Yeah,
there. I
she was,
wasn't competing, but I was there. And she looked great too. I think that she got overlooked, to be honest. That's my
yeah.
take on it. She had great lines. She had great shape. Her conditioning probably could have been a little sharper, but I think
Mhm.
that's sort of, you know, where we all sort of have to toe the line as to, you know, what level of conditioning to bring into a show, what's going to work, what are the judges looking for, and also, you know, that was her first show of the season. So
Mhm.
it's difficult when you hit your first show of the season to hit it spot on. I think sometimes you do need a couple of shows to figure out the formula, but she looked great. Her suit was beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
Her lines were beautiful. She has like zero waist. Like she has like no waist at all. You know, so
And
yeah, big shout out to Jada. She looked great.
yeah, because I told her that because we talk, me and Jamie talk back and forth a good bit, and I told her she looked great. I thought she was gonna make the top five.
I did
I
too.
feel like I felt she could make a top five, but
I did too.
it was just But she said that she's getting ready for the Savannah, and
Mhm.
I think she might do pretty good at that show. I mean,
I could see
it's
that.
a yeah, and that's a good show. I mean, it's just started last year. Last year, Asher Halley won that show, and
Hmm.
Asher's gonna be competing at the
Rising
uh,
Phoenix.
Rising Phoenix, and now it's great that Rising Phoenix. It's what about it is the Arizona Pro is strictly an all ladies show, and they
Yep.
had to be an all ladies show like that since the Jantana, and to me Jantana was a great show because they used to have it between Virginia and my state of North Carolina. One
Mm.
of the few all women shows. Also, right here we got my brother Marcus Bell. See all the way George Page. He said hello to you, Miss Sheena Olyg, and he's coming through, smashing that like. Also, once again from Brooke Morale, he says, Miss Sheena, how much can you or do you bench press?
Oh gosh. To be honest, I haven't maxed out on my bench press. The last time I maxed out on my bench press was probably a few years ago, just because I have some shoulder issues that I have to work around.
Mhm.
And as a bodybuilder, I think, you know, people come to the realization once you become an experienced bodybuilder that it's not about being a power lifter, it's not about being world's strongest man, it's not about lifting the most, it's about doing the exercises that put your body in a position to create the best aesthetics and the best symmetry and the best shape for your structure. So I don't bench press very heavy much anymore, but the last time that I maxed out my bench press, it was 265.
See, that's my last bench press was back in high school. That was about a lifetime ago, and I was doing it 320, and that's been
That's
a
great.
long time ago. You know,
Yeah,
when
but
I,
for a high school kid, that's great.
well, I used to play. I played football. I grew up in the country. Country boys, we strong. I
Okay,
used to play
strong,
football.
strong.
Yeah, we strong. You know, strong like Moodle.
uh,
like a. And I used to play football, and we used to do a thing. If you remember, that used to was the bull session. We all come in a circle,
hmm
and the guys would come at me. I was like, boom, 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 and said, "Damn, George, you strong." I said, I just big country boy.
Sure.
Work the farms, the fields. You know, and it's about people don't like that. Bodybuilding is not about just about strength. It's
hmm
about presentation. It's about conditioning. It's about most, especially the old school fans like myself. We were so much into the bigger women, like women
hmm
like just the mass monsters. But now there's the new generations coming in like yourself and Jada and one
hmm
lady this is the one lady. She's a fan of yours. She calls you your boo, woman Sheena Boswell.
Oh, Rashana. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my
Shout,
girl.
yeah, shout about yeah, because
Sure,
I
sure,
told her
sure.
said when I made my put this on my IG, she put my boo. I said you better tell your wife that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what?
you
That's the
know,
beautiful thing though about the division these days is that there's a level of camaraderie and sisterhood that's a little bit stronger, I think, maybe than in years past. And I think we're all sort of jumping on that trail to really uplift each other and hold each other up and continue to support one another and champion one another. Um, at the end of the day, yeah, we're competing against each other, but it's not like, we're on different basketball teams. It's like my body is my body, your body is your body. I'm rooting for you to bring the best package that you can bring, and you're rooting for me to bring the best package I can bring. And we just put that on stage against one another and, let the judges be the judge or let the judges choose as to which one that they want to award for that first place. I want to compete against the best bodies. I want to compete against the girls that bring a strong level of conditioning and a strong level of shape and symmetry and, that have amazing bodies and amazing genetics. Because if we're all at our best, then, we're only pushing the sport forward and we're only progressing the sport so that all of the young girls coming up can see our different bodies and say, oh my God, like that's the standard, or I love her shoulders, or I love her legs, or I can have these abs, I can have it, six packs, or I want my arms to look like hers or my back to look like hers. So I think it's only improving the nature of the sport.
yeah, because like remember, there's a movie documentary years ago called Pump It Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a lot of legends, and there's a part where Arnold Schwarzenegger is picking on Lou Ferrigno. Oh, Lou, your muscles too small. Oh, Lou. It's kind of this. There is still, even though there's a sisterhood,
hmm
come together. There still is also a little pettiness like any sport, especially
Sure.
when you
I
compete
think
against
I think you
somebody.
have some people. I think you have some people, and I think that's just the nature of being human beings. I think you're gonna have some people who are petty. You're gonna
Mhm.
have some competitors who, give you the stank eye or who, you know, kind of are checking you out or stalking you on your social medias. You have the people that will watch your videos but won't ever like or comment or say anything on them. So you know that they're stalking you, but they're not leaving any comments. And it's weird because like people know now that you can see who has seen your page, who has seen your videos. Like you can see who's seeing your stories. And if you're always in my stories or always in my posts, but you're never leaving a comment or you're never, hitting the like button or anything like that, then that tells me that you're sort of like stalking and kind of just, minding my business over here. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have people like that, but you can't really give that any of your attention. And you have to let them be over there. But for the most part, to be honest, backstage the camaraderie is beautiful. You can't really bother yourself with like the feelings underneath of the surface that people might be having, if they feel a little shafted or robbed or whatever they want to call it. um all I remember really backstage, even at the Chicago, was we're backstage helping glue each other up and helping hoist each other's suits in the right places and tape each other in and glue each other in and glaze each other and giving each other tips on, all right, well, hit that pose again, oh, lift your chest, or oh, turn your foot. So there's a level of pettiness, but I think for the most part, the camaraderie is definitely growing.
Yeah, because my channel, since I started growing it, I did when I did my hit my 500 subscribers. This is why I say I like to thank you, the haters, because the fact is you care so much about me, but I don't care nothing about you.
Sure.
Yeah,
That happens.
yeah. And the thing is, people are so focused on, having issue with you. They need to focus on doing what they need to do. Is I follow so many other bodybuilders how they post on social media how they complain how I didn't do this, I didn't do that. But you know what you need to do. Just
Hmm.
change what you need. Just change it. No point. If Dave don't like us telling you what you need to do, then don't post it. Keep your mouth shut.
That's
Keep it to yourself. You know,
that's
and
true.
that's the thing. It's just the sport is a beautiful sport. It's a great sport.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
I would call it's a real human sport compared to all the other sports. I think it's more like we just had the Olympics. That was I think a great used to be a great event. You see what really seeing people in putting their selves in their bodies,
Hmm.
just taking the human to the human limit of
Hmm.
physical fitness, compared
Sure.
to other, compared to other sports. Like, as I grew up, I used to remember bodybuilding used to be on network television. You can see him on NBC, ESPN,
That's right.
yeah. And now, they don't show it anymore. And one used to be one of the biggest shows of bodybuilding shows, and now they show poker.
It's just crazy to me. It's
But I
crazy to
think
me.
it's about money, and I think that's mostly it's about money and about what people want to see. And also the fact is that one thing your sport really needs is more, I think, bring into the shelter of other sports. Also, like one thing also we talk about the money situation is you can really use infusions of
Hmm.
major sponsors. Like,
Hmm.
I said again, I'm a fan of MMA, and was a while ago, the UFC had a contract with Reebok. And and even though certain things you as bodybuilders you don't use, you still use
Hmm.
certain you know certain things like athlete apparel, other
Sure.
stuff. I mean, I know that what was it cold? Is it Chill North Mountain, Chill Water? They're
Oh,
sponsored
Chillwater,
it,
yeah.
yeah,
Northern
and
Chill.
Northern Chill, and something like maybe a bigger company like maybe Nike, Reebok, something like that. That probably could help, and
Hmm.
maybe it also could help with your ladies with money because I think that money comes
It,
in,
it
that's credit.
absolutely could. I mean, I think as individual athletes, there are opportunities for that, just depending on like your look, your marketability, et cetera. Unfortunately, I think the stumbling block that comes into bodybuilding is that there's an assumption that every single competitor is on all of these ridiculous amounts of steroids and drugs, and that's just not something that a lot of big label companies or corporations are willing to get behind, and they don't want to be associated with that, regardless of how true or not it might be. And I think that's where the conversations and the stigma needs to be dispelled, and a lot of the myths need to be dispelled, because you have a lot of people who are competing that are, just great, natural, talented athletes. And, at the end of the day, regardless of the protocol that you're using, I mean, they're sponsoring Nike and Reebok and Adidas and all these. They sponsor baseball, they sponsor MMA, they sponsor all these sports, hockey, and all these sports where that a lot of these athletes are on different protocols that are managed by their teams, by their league offices and things like that. So I think that it's a matter of public ire, and there's a conversation that needs to be had. But 100%, listen. If anybody out there has a connect at Nike or Reebok or Adidas or Under Armour or Lululemon, give them my contact information and tell them that that I'm definitely willing to be in a featured spread or ad. I take great pictures, and I just like to have fun. So for
Yeah,
sure.
like I said, also ESPN does that thing every so often where they have somebody getting like halfway naked. That also is something good.
Oh
So
yeah,
some
yeah.
they
It's like
should.
all
So
skin.
yeah. So I like this. Anybody who watches this video, share it, comment, reach out to any kind of sponsor. Reach out to Miss Sheena Ohlig, all the other ladies. Give them opportunity to represent their sport fairly and surely. Because if you can post like people like Ronda Rousey or Clarissa Shields or any other female athlete in a semi-new spread, you can post people like her, and other
Mhm.
all the other competitors, because it's the body beautiful. That's what it's supposed to be about. You know.
Sure.
Anyway, I said you would as you were doing in Chicago. I follow you. You really killed out some burgers and fries, didn't you? I gotta put you on the spot.
You know I did. There was a great
Yeah.
burger place. I can't remember the name of the spot that we went. I think it was like Firehouse or something crazy like that. They had it was a great burger spot. They had all these great burgers. And after prejudging, so my protocol actually is, my coach will start filling me out, and then depending on how I look at the end of the night on like that Thursday or that Friday before the show, he'll give me a burger and fries, and sort of that's where a lot of the sodium and the fries and the quick sort of heavier, dirtier calories will come into play and help fill me out. So I tend to always get a burger and fries the night before the show, just because my body responds well to that. And then after prejudging, we go all in with the burger and fries, meaning like I get the bun, and I can do all the condiments and everything. Like the night before, I tend to stay away from the bun, and I don't have cheese or anything like that. So I keep it still pretty clean. But then after the show, I get like the bacon and the avocado, and because when you're on stage, people don't realize it, but if you're in good condition, a lot of times you'll even continue to lose weight through prejudging. And that's why some people will fall flat for the night show. So it's important that you time, your feeding well on the day of the show, also going into the night show, just so that you come back better, and you don't spill over, you don't get soft, and you stay hard for the night show. So I went all the way in on the burger and fries. I don't really like cheese in the first place. Like my stomach doesn't like it. My tongue likes it. Like I like the taste of it, but my stomach doesn't like it. So I stay away from cheese anyway. But I had the burger, and the bun was so good. It was like a buttery, like brioche bun. It was like toasted perfectly. And then I had the fries, and it was like all the condiments was so great. So yeah, I hammered that. I crushed it.
You're like Pookie say, it was calling me, babe. It was
Yeah, it
calling
was
me. It was
calling my
calling
name.
me,
That's
babe. It was
right.
calling my name. Yeah. Like crack.
That's right. That's right.
And
It
how
was
was
great.
that feeling when it says your name? Because you had some stiff competition. You had Christina Mendoza. She was up there.
Sure.
You had Stephanie Fletcher, who
Sure.
she was. Those are pretty impressive women. And
Yeah.
Christina, she dropped out this year. I was hoping to see more of her, but
I was hoping to. I was hoping to see
Yeah.
more of her too. But you got to do the thing that's best for your body. I want to say she's going to do the Romania, but maybe not. I might be making that up, but I want to say maybe I overheard her make an announcement that she was going to do the Romania, which would qualify her for next year if she won
Wins.
or got points. Yeah.
Yeah.
But regardless, whether she continues to compete or she brings it in for the year, yeah, all of the girls, that first call out was really a top notch level of competition, top notch lineup, and I couldn't be more grateful, to be honest. My response thus far has been I couldn't have written it any better. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm a big Eagles fan. So for those of you out there who know sports, Philly and Jersey, depending on where you're at, I'm in South Jersey, so I'm like right across the bridge from Philly. So Philly, I'm a Philly Eagles fan. And I literally compared it to when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and played the New England Patriots. Now, for so long, the Philly Eagles, we got a lot of we get bashed. People,
Michael
people
Vick.
trash talk us. Listen, Michael Vick was my man, though. I mean, I know he went through that whole thing with the anthem rights, but there have been worse things out there, unfortunately. But to put it in perspective, what I did was I kind of just, the feeling to me was, winning that show was the equivalent of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. It couldn't have been written any better. It wasn't an easy game. It wasn't an easy team. It wasn't just a walk-off win. It wasn't a fluke. Like, that was a very hard-fought game, and they pulled it out in the end against a very tough team and against an experienced team. So for my win at the Chicago, it just felt like all the stars had aligned, and it was a tough level of competition. I stayed consistent through prejudging and finals, and the feedback that I got was, it was consistent, throughout against all the judges, and it just felt like, what, I really earned that win, and I couldn't have been more grateful because the girls were so amazing. Everybody looked great. The competition was beautiful. The show was put on such a great production. So, it just felt like, that was just my time. And I'm still like speechless to this day.
Yeah, as I say, you from Jersey. I have family in Jersey. My father used to live in Jersey because him and my mother were together for 55 years. She
Oh
spent 25
wow.
years. She spent 25. She spent the rest of here. He spent another 30 in Jersey.
Okay.
And and they because they live in Patterson, and that's a
Sure.
good
That's
way.
North Jersey, yeah.
Yeah, and my aunt's still there. And I might even venture. I might, when this thing comes down with the COVID, I hate saying that. Because I don't. I hate it because what it does to my family because it changed it because it took to one most important person in my life and it's changed it. And especially you were training through the whole mess as was
Hmm.
going on. What was your feeling? Did you like, especially with your mother being sick?
Yeah, no, it was difficult. I mean, it was definitely a challenge. I'm grateful that at the gym that's in my area, my home gym, Attill's Gym, Belmar, they were able to stay open, and they they kind of took it upon themselves to really fight a really hard fight against like the local government, a lot against a lot of the mandates to close down gyms, which I just was against also. I mean, I was very much on the same page with the gym because I feel like you can't call one establishment essential and not another when one is helping people and another, could potentially harm people. You can't tell me that a liquor store is essential when, liquor has been shown to kill people. People, struggle with addiction and struggle with alcoholism. And, you have people going into alcohol stores, liquor stores, and they're touching bottles, putting bottles back. They're all in there breathing on each other. And yeah, we had to wear a mask, but not one liquor store was shut down. But you're gonna shut down a gym where gyms not only physically help people maintain their health and strength and physicality, but mentally and emotionally. You have a lot of these gyms that are a safe haven for people. They're a therapeutic for people. Personally, myself, if I can't get to a gym or get to my workout, it throws me all off. I'm not, the same in my head. I'm not balanced. I can get depressed by missing, workouts or lifts or not being able to see the people that I'm used to seeing in the gym. So I think a lot of those things had to be taken into consideration. And, they did everything that they could to kind of keep their members safe. They limited how many people could be in the gym. They sanitized, they had disinfectant, they had a disinfecting protocol, they had a protocol for the amount of people in, how long you could be in the gym, the distance between equipment, you had to wipe everything down. So it's definitely it was definitely a challenge, and it was hard, but thankfully they were able to stay open with the help of a lot of donations. They're still fighting very many legal battles, but all of their members and the people that appreciate them, are behind them and standing with them. And to be honest, it's because they were open that I was able to train and maintain a consistent prep, and it brought me to winning the Chicago Pro.
Yeah, because that's what it is. One of my favorite heroes is Batman, and what made Batman so great is his determination. Not that he
Hmm.
had no superpowers, even though he was a billionaire, he had a lot of money. He had determination to do what he did, and that's a good thing about
Sure.
what your gym did. They had determination to try to be safe for the competitors and for their for their clients. That's a good thing. And
Yeah.
what like I said, one thing I would wonder, you know, if you could, change anything in your life in this if you could if you wasn't uh a competitive female bodybuilder, what would you have been, or what would been your life path, what's purpose?
Oh, I still would have been in fitness. Even if I wasn't a competitor, I still would have been in training and fitness and health, just because it's always been a part of who I am. I was a yoga instructor for many years, from about 2013 up until about 2017, 2018. Um, and it just taught me so much. So I would definitely still be in the field of fitness and, probably just like life coaching, fitness coaching, wellness coaching for sure. Ultimately, I do want to open my own gym. I want to open up my own yoga studio. So I have different aspirations that are still going to keep me in the realm of fitness, even when my competing days are through.
Hmm. What scare we have from you of your fan Brooke Burrell, Miss Sheeta? I just want to say God bless you, and God bless you, Queen. And Miss Sheena, what other sports are interested in? He's very curious. He's a fan.
Oh, believe it or not, I'm a big fan of martial arts. So for probably like 10 years, I studied martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So even, you know, I respect the fact that you know, that you're into like the female MMA. So I mean, not that I've ever been interested in actual like the like sport of MMA,
Yeah.
like actually fighting. But I love the art of it, and I love you know, just the I guess what's the word? You know,
The
learning it
style.
and sort of the style for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's something that, you know, you have to be very in tune with your body and your mind to do and to do well. So I love that.
Because I think that's why I'm really become, because you know, when I was growing up, I was a big boxing fan. I grew up in the area of Mike Tyson, the Ali, and you know, Roy
Hmm.
Jones and Money Mayweather, and
Hmm.
I really got into MMA a little bit. I wasn't too much a fan of it. I remember this was, if you remember, but Bernard Hopkins, he called it gay sex. That was crazy. And I've really start into it because right now boxing kind of fall off a little bit. As you know, last
Hmm.
weekend Manny Pacquiao got beaten, and he needs to retire.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and MMA is really it's like your sport. It's expensive sport for training and stuff
Hmm.
like that, and the women don't get as much credit compared to their male
Hmm.
counterparts. And
Hmm.
I'm a fan of some women I follow. I've done interviews with women in MMA and also some women in the sport of boxing. I really, like I said again, I like to give y'all women a chance to be recognized and to call your
Sure.
attention, because the fact is that you know you do you, like I said, I'm gonna quote this from a female boxer fan of Miss Ann Wolf Brown Sugar, and she said that when men fight, it's like they act like they're making love. When women fight, you fight with your heart, with your heart on your sleeve. You go all
That's
out
right.
because you
That's
want to
right.
prove something. And that's the same thing with
That's right.
bodybuilding. You ladies come out here, you hit the stage, you do your poses, you train, you diet, you do all the guidelines that not as much as compared to your male counterparts, but you need to be recognized for your work and to respect
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Anyway,
That's right.
you know, once again, this is Brooke again. I think you got a new boyfriend, you know.
Oh, word.
Yeah. Miss Sheena, do you have any advice for aspiring bodybuilder with diabetes who is also in a wheelchair?
Um, advice, I definitely, you know, obviously consistency, finding the foods that work best for your condition. If you have diabetes, regardless of, you know, if it's type 1 or type 2, if it's type 2, that can be, you know, treated with your diet. If it's type 1, obviously, you know, there's some, you know, medical intervention that has to happen. But with your food, it has to be consistent and it has to be food that your body will be able to uptake efficiently and effectively. And then also, you know, consistently being able to do movements, even in your wheelchair, that will help grow your body and utilize those nutrients, you know, to help grow in a way that puts on the best shape for your structure.
Yeah. And once again, he's like he's a big fan, and he says he considered women of power, whether physical or otherwise, to be goddesses. You know, I think he's in love with you, Sheena.
Oh gosh. Well, listen, I appreciate the support. So you know, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyway, we have her for about an hour, and I know she's a busy lady. She's prepping for the Olympia. We go, like I said, and she's getting ready. Also, like I said again, her information's in the description. You know, reach out to her if you're serious about training. You know, she dropped her email. Just watch
Hmm.
the video again, and you know, and she'll you reach out to her. Also, this is why I tell all my people who follow my stuff, who follow these ladies, no strange shit, no DP, no nothing. You know, like the other day I was doing the thing with
Thank you for putting that out there because let me
yes,
tell you,
yes,
I
yes,
have no problem with, you know, telling people right off the bat, that's weird. You're blocked.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not going to get a response from me. You know, for those of you guys out there who are watching or who might be interested in reaching out, you know, just like don't be weird. You know, nobody
yeah.
wants unsolicited body pictures whatsoever. I don't want to see you without a shirt. I don't want to see you giving me a muscle. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to see a dick pic. I don't want to see any of that stuff, right? You know,
No,
the other day somebody sent me a picture like from their belly up saying, "Oh, like I'm getting stronger." And like I get it, you want to show off your progress, but nobody asked you for that picture. And it's just weird to send a body picture in whatever case to somebody that's unsolicited and that you don't have any sort of rapport with.
No.
It's one thing if you're saying, hey, how's your day going? Wishing you all the
Mhm.
all the luck, all that kind of support. Like that's great, that's fair, but like don't be weird. I mean, imagine sending that picture. Would you send that picture, or would you send this message to your daughter or your son or your next door neighbor? And if the answer is no, don't send it to us either.
Yeah, because like I said, like I send her some stuff every now and then. Very supportive. I send some crazy stuff. She laughs at it. Some stuff she likes, and
Mm-hmm.
very, to reassure that she is a great lady. But like I said, be respectful. Now, like I said, we don't want to hold her up much longer. She's a busy
Thank
lady. She's
you so much.
yeah, she's shooting for the crown. And I told her again, don't ever tell the queen you're shooting for her crown. You walk slow. Use the
Sure.
art Kung Su. Anyway, second, like I said, if you want to reach out to her again, her stuff is information in the description. If you have any sponsors, anybody you want to shout out to, give recognition for, just being competitive, just share it right now.
Definitely want to give a shout out to my coach Trey Hodge and the whole team. He's got some great competitors that have just joined us that he's been working with, both amateur and professional. So just want to give a big shout out to all of Team Hodge. Also want to give a shout out to my gym, Tillis Gym Belmar. Want to give a big shout out to my girl Margie Martin. Margie helped me a
Oh,
lot going into this show.
I
She was
love
so
Margie.
supportive. She was
I
such a
love
mentor.
Margie.
She, that's mother right there. That's mother.
I
Mother.
love Margie.
It's
She's just
mother.
so she's so
Yeah,
she
she's
posts a lot of
awesome.
stuff. She's so beautiful. I hope she makes
Sure.
yeah. I hope she. I know. I want her. I hope she makes the Winter Olympia. Part of me won't mind hoping. I think she's beautiful, and
Yeah, I think
especially.
she's great. I
And,
think she has an
and I
amazing
like.
shape.
And once if you see her, tell her thank you for her service. Because
Sure.
I have families that was in the Corps. I respect that. So I
Mm-hmm.
respect her, and I respect you. I respect all you ladies.
Yeah.
It's just fun to sit here and talk with you, lady. Ma'am. If you whenever you want, let me know. We'll do this again. Maybe when
Sure.
once you get your title.
That's right. Once I get that
Yeah,
title,
cause,
for sure.
yeah, yeah, because you gotta Steve Martin and crowd. You gotta go through your mom,
That's right.
Margie.
That's
You
right.
gotta go through Hella. You
Listen,
got
there are some beautiful, amazing, experienced and just top-notch women up there. So I'm just honored just to be able to step on the same stage with them. So I'm just going to make the most out of the experience. And at the end of the day, regardless of how it boils down, like lose or draw, I actually just saw the list, the official qualified list, and there are 15 of us who are officially qualified, and then they're going to take the next three
three.
on points. So it's going to be 18 total women on stage. So win, lose, or draw, whoever comes to that stage on that Olympia stage, we are the top 18 in the world.
Mhm.
And
I
that's
wish
nothing to sneeze at, So that's
yeah,
a beautiful thing.
yeah. I wish it was more. It used to be back there. It used to be like at least about 20, 30
I
some women.
don't, I don't, I think, and not from a fair competition perspective, but I think that it needs to be a very small group of women that make it to the Olympia, because you're taking, the best of the best. And if you put 30 or 40 women on the Olympia stage, I don't think that anybody really gets a fair, true, good look. I think when you have 15 to 20 girls, I would say at the most 20, if you have 15 to 20 women competing for that Mr. Olympia or Miss Olympia title, I think that shows just how exclusive that competition is. And I think
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
that's a good thing. So anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for coming through. My brother Marcus Bell, Brooke Burrell, KL No Angel. We'd like to thank Miss Sheena Ohlig for sharing her time and educating us about the sport and what we need to be doing. And instead again, please support these ladies. If you can't support them financially, support them emotionally. Tell them that when they come on, social media, tell them that you're beautiful, you look great. Don't have no doubts. Keep your head up. Like there's a quote I like to say. Fortune favors the bold, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what this is what it's about. So anyway, it's your man all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Bodybuilding Talk. We're saying a good afternoon to Miss Sheena Ohlig, and like, subscribe, comment, and like I said, once again to you schmoes, no D pics.
Thanks, George. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much.